对于福岛
The Chinese side has repeatedly expounded on its position concerning the Fukushima nuclear leakage incident. All countries have the responsibility to ensure the safety and lawful rights and interests of foreign citizens in their countries. It is hoped that the Japanese government will articulate how it plans to deal with the aftermath of the leakage in a responsible manner. The Foreign Ministry has already issued a relevant safety alert. We believe that Chinese citizens will make proper travel plans and ensure their personal safety.
Radiation update on Mondays, this third hour, and talk about many other things of great importance as well. Here's one, a news story. I've got this, I had it up in 2 days. Why the melted fuel under Fukushima could poison the planet with nuclear radiation for thousands of years. Now the real question is, how are we going to survive thousands of years of radiation from this destroyed, it's not crippled, destroyed nuclear power plant at the rates that they're coming out right now, 25 hours a day. Here's the opening graph on this story. It's a good one. 6 years ago, an absolutely devastating tsunami caused a triple meltdown at Japan's Fukushima nuclear power facility. It was the worst environmental disaster in all of human history. That's something we've tried to impress upon you for 6 years here. And even though 6 years have passed since that time, nobody knows where the 3 melted cores even are. Just recently, authorities believed that they spotted some melted fuel underneath Reactor 2, but even from a distance, the level of nuclear radiation that was detected was being described as unimaginably big, 520 or 30 sieverts. Essentially what we are talking about are 3 enormous dirty bombs that are continuously going off and emitting tremendous amounts of nuclear radiation into the air, water, and soil. And by water, I mean the Pacific Ocean. Some of the radioactive elements that are being released have half-lives that are measured in tens of thousands of years. We know the West Coast now is a repository of ever-increasing in density nuclear radiation in the water and up on the shore and in the marine layer along the coast, and of course in the air, traveling across the entire United States, the Atlantic Ocean, across Europe, Russia, Asia, China, and then around the loop again, picking up another load as it comes across Japan. And it's just unbelievable. No one talks about it except we do here. And Yoshi, are you standing by there? How are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm standing by Southern California. Since I talked with you last, I took a train from through New Mexico.
Oh, really?
And Colorado, the mountain areas there are radioactive. Wherever you have drier areas, it's less radioactive. But New Mexico, extremely radioactive, 0.20, microsieverts.
0.2.
Passing through that. Yeah,
in the desert.
Passing through on a train.
Huh.
Yeah, and the really weird clouds like the ones in Fukushima, these low-hanging clouds that look like, I don't know how to describe them. They're connected to the ground.
Yeah.
Eerie light. It's a, strange kind of tingling feeling you feel. So, obviously, New Mexico, you've got, past atomic tests at WIPP leak there at the underground.
They found radiation. One quick note here.
Yeah.
They detected radiation from Fukushima 3 days after the first explosion there. That's how quickly it came over.
Yeah. It moves very, very fast in the upper atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, there's no resistance in the upper atmosphere. It's just moving across like astonishingly quickly. And then, of course, that's the end of the Rockies, and you have the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. So around Albuquerque, it's pretty grim, so we're seeing parts of the United States. It's not evenly distributed. It's all over the United States, but it's not evenly distributed. So whatever happens in Japan in the coming, 2 or 3 years is going to have very harsh consequences for the United States because, as you say, the stuff's underground. Under each reactor, a couple 100 tons of radioactive metallic material. Not just the rods, but, all the zirconium cladding, the steel support work, the wherever the pressure vessels were burned through. There's a lot of material down there. It's highly radioactive now, so it's got to go somewhere. And then the ice wall is broken, the sea wall's pretty much broken by the quake. There's going to be more quakes, obviously. So, you know, we're going to see this stuff basically rushing, being pushed into the ocean, and you know, little particles of plutonium coming across. So it's pretty grim. You know, the scenario is grim. And we saw Shinzo Abe, you know, meeting with President Donald Trump.
That was my next question.
It's very enigmatic because the press was kept out of their talk. You know, you saw the plastic bags on the windows of the press room there. They weren't anywhere near in sight. What were they talking about on the golf course? But when you did see the handshake, people have asked me, they noted that it was really strange. Donald Trump gripping Shinzo Abe's hand, wouldn't let it go. Shinzo Abe is trying to release his hand.
Really? Now, I didn't hear this or see it. I missed it.
No, this lasted for the handshake lasted for about 30 seconds. And then with his left, while he gripped Shinzo Abe's hand with his right hand, they were just shaking and shaking it. He used the left hand to sort of clap, you know, to gather the left hand. But it was, in the press, you see it like he's holding Shinzo Abe's hand. But actually, there were two slaps on the back of his hand. He slapped him once, and then he slapped him twice. So, if you want to read,
what the hell is that all about?
I mean, I know it's very weird. If you see the tape, it's very, very weird. What Donald Trump Donald Trump wasn't smiling there. He was very grim, and when he let him go, he was grim. And then after that, he smiled. Shinzo Abe, you know, he just looked away in shock. Oh, you know, so what happened? What is this about?
You don't do that in world diplomatic circles. No, it's too weird.
No. Body language. There was no progress on any trade talks or anything like that.
Wow.
So what were they talking about for so long in these talks that, you know, there's no transcript release, there's no substantial, they were met a long time, they went down to Florida, they were in the golf course, and no discussion of what was going on. And I would suggest, you know, one of the slaps might be about Japanese automobile sales in the United States, which have really contributed to the destruction of American economy. You know, all these concessions by previous administrations letting Japanese ship cars in here when American cars made with American steel, American rubber could have kept this country solvent, right? Instead, it was given away to Japan. What was the purpose of all that? I mean, there's a lot of secrecy behind the U.S.-Japan security relation, what it's all about. And what would the second slap be all about? You know, we know that
this is real weird, Yoshi.
I know
really
Trump
weird.
is appointing people in for Department of Energy. Rick Perry, who's not really a pro-nuclear guy. We got a couple deputy directors in who are worried about Hanford and Washington Coast. So in other words, there's this undertone. You know, this sort of like Shinzo Abe better do something here. You know, so there's a total secrecy about it. Don't know, you know. We just don't know what's going on. Mike Flynn now just is out, so there's a lot of secrecy without warning, you know. We just don't know.
The first casualty, there may be others. Reince Priebus may be next.
We just don't know what's really going on. Certainly Donald Trump is no fool. I mean, anyone who thinks he's a fool, like these guys at Saturday Night Live, they're the fools, not Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
He's struggling. He's waging a struggle, you know, against all this, you know, just massive upwelling of lies and, you know, untruths that are coming out, you know, the false news, all the stuff that's come out. So
rumors are
struggling.
Yeah, rumors are. I had a story yesterday that White House staff and some aides are reporting that everyone is afraid to go near Jerry Kushner.
Yeah.
Suggesting that there's a huge Israeli Zionist power plug right smack into the heart of the administration.
That and a Saudi one, too. Yeah. I mean, you got two massive and working apparently in tandem, the Saudis and the Israelis. So,
now, Bibi is so happy. Wait until he comes over on this trip.
There's hundreds of officials apparently in the State Department, Defense Department, who are all been bought, you know, so this is,
That's right.
Well, which is why Steve Bannon has to be in the National Security Council. This is bigger than probably any spy scandal in the history of the United States of what happened under 3 successive administrations, the Clintons, the Bushes, and then the Obama administration. You know, just American foreign policy for sale, American interests sold out, America purposely put in the debt so it's weakened. And you see the country reeling now. I'm in California where, you know, you see Oroville Dam just about to break. There's no technology in the U.S. because we don't have a lot of big steel fabrication plants, steel mills. You could have, you know, while I was working back at U.S. Steel or Republic Steel, we could have laid steel pipe down that spillway to save Sacramento. We could have put a lot of steel grid down. You know, I mean, we could have manufactured the stuff overnight and then got it, yeah.
I think you're right.
And now we're defenseless against Fukushima or what's happening. You know, and I was just in Little Tokyo today, LA. You know, and there's no fish from the Pacific. It's all farm fish. You know, it's all farm fish from Norway or somewhere, and it is really it's strange. You know, Chile, you know, is another area of where they get the fish. You know, things have radically changed, and people are pretending like nothing is going on. So, very scary situation. We have, I hope Dana's here, because we have Justin Trudeau now visiting, and, you know, he's head of a major Canada there, a bankrupt economy. Can't sell uranium anymore.
Playing Mr. Nice Guy with Trump, and
he has to. He's broke. Canada was riding high on uranium, nuclear power.
Yes, they
now
were.
It's got it. I mean, they're wiped out too. So, is Dana around? Hello,
Dana, are you there?
Hey, hi, Yoshi. Hi, Jim.
there you are.
Hey, there he is.
Yeah, this is your shining hour. Your prime minister who refuses to get you out of jail is in Mount Washington. Acting very timid. Huh?
You know, we would have elected a hockey stick at that point. We were so desperate to get rid of Stephen Harper. We would have elected a drunk moose staggering down the road. There was like a butterfly, anything but Stephen Harper again, because he was, he killed that country, yeah?
Yeah.
He did. He wrecked our country.
Well, you got a hockey stick, a climate change guy. Huh? You remember the hockey stick theory of climate change?
No.
Yeah, he was adopted from some other country first, so I think.
Yeah.
I'm just making
He looked pretty sad today at the White House with Donald Trump. You know, he looked very, very... I don't know what to say, The globalist community is suddenly feeling like it's all collapsed around them, They're not putting up a fight against Trump so much, They're starting to realize they've got no cards to play. It's really strange, isn't it?
I think you summed it up pretty well. I think Flynn is the first of a number of people who are going to go. Not you're fired necessarily, but behind the scenes. Flynn was told he had to go. Remember, first his son was involved in something that disqualified him from a high-level national security clearance. Don't know what that was about. More nepotism.
No, his son said that Pizzagate's for real. So he was.
That's right. He screwed up and admitted the truth. Can't do that.
The media was not going to give Trump any coverage unless he left, Mike Flynn's son. So this is like there's a massive domestic war going on, a civil war going on. It's internal in all the government. Now we're seeing. I just don't. I don't know what. We're curious to hear what Dana says about why is Trudeau rushing down there now? If he believes in climate change and all that, he'd just be sitting up there in Canada. You know what I mean,
this
right?
Dana? Was this trip well planned, or was it kind of off the cuff? Did it happen rather hurriedly? For any reason you can figure out?
Trudeau is not a statesman. He's not a real politician or something. He was dragged out of closet, kicking and screaming, put on a pedestal before elections, given $150,000 to $200,000 for each bumbling hour he stood up in front of an audience, and he accumulated a whole bunch of wealth in just a couple-year period. Then he was unanimously elected. People didn't look and see the word Justin Trudeau. They seen anything but Stephen Harper. And that's the fact. That's the reality. And now he's just playing whatever is trending on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube each day. He's trying to be trendy. And so they're just spending $10 billion on Pickerton reactors and another $10 billion on the Darlington or something, or the Bruce power plants in Ontario, Canada, where they're rebuilding the reactor facilities. So they're planning on killing the country. They're going to finish it out. Just like the nuclear industry has us captured. It really does. Hey, did you see the headlines? Tokyo area uninhabitable if number 2 falls? Came out today?
Yeah, a lot of Japanese experts, people who've never really spoken out before, are coming out now. They realize, this radioactive is really loose, and if it breaks out of the sea wall, some of that metal breaks out into the sea. Those the clouds that form off a little bit like Ibaraki Coast, just south of Fukushima, just a little bit south. Some of that stuff drifts down. Those clouds just pour right into Tokyo Bay, into Tokyo.
Are you talking about if the SFP hits the ground?
No, the stuff already underneath the ground. It breaks through the sea wall.
I thought Dana said something about it hitting the ground. Yeah,
they're worried about Unit 2. Yeah, they're like the headlines today was Unit 2. If that's destroyed, we're not really sure what they're freaking talking about, because they're talking about, excuse me, but they're talking about 180 to 210 tons of the pressure vessel. But the building has around 2,100 tons, around 5 million pounds into it. And that was above it. That was the fuel pool's majority of that, 10 years, 20 years of fuel.
The SFP, the fuel.
Okay, well, if this is true, if this is true, then the assertions that they have there, then I hope they don't come across a picture of Unit 3, because it's gone, and that means Tokyo is uninhabitable. Right?
Yeah, basically, if these structures collapse, you're basically going to have a breakthrough of the sea. The pressure's got to go somewhere. The weak point is through the sea wall. If that stuff goes into the sea, clouds form, and there's Lake Kashiwa, I believe it's called. There's a big lake that stretches southward, and there's no real barrier between Ibaraki Prefecture and Tokyo. There's no hills, there's no mountains. So that cloud would just pour right into Tokyo, and it's over, basically.
Well, do you know?
There's no way to evacuate it.
I was able to confirm this a couple of years ago. The Brazilian government and a group from Japan, it's a very elite group. I won't say globalist, but a very elite group of Japanese, worked to deal with the Brazilian government that had Brazil set aside enough land, literally, to take in most of Japan. Unpopulated
the problem
land.
Is you got to get them out of Japan.
Right. They didn't want to go.
The airport, both airports would be pretty vulnerable. If there's this breakthrough, like some people fear, the sudden breakthrough because of nuclear fuel spillage into the Pacific, right off shore, and pouring into Tokyo. Right. Both major airports would be knocked out. You're not going to be able to fly out.
Well, this was the idea was that the Japanese would begin to, quote, colonize a certain portion of Brazil. This was a remarkably large. Well, you can put, how many people live in L.A.? I don't even know now. 10 million? I don't know what it is. You can see L.A. is geographically, and anyway, there's plenty of room in Brazil. There's room in talking about India, but Brazil made a deal. This was confirmed by several people to me. Okay, now back to the plant, and they keep calling it crippled, and it's destroyed. It's not crippled. It's dead. It's dust. It's garbage. They talk about decommissioning. How do you decommission a dead nuclear plant? You don't do that. These are fake words.
Yeah.
All right. Right. Now, 530 sieverts measured in reactors 1 and 3. Nobody knows about the levels above that, but it's said by those in the know, and I'm sure you would agree, they could be much higher, lower. They just don't know. That's what they are able to measure. It could be 10,000. We don't know.
Yeah, I've tried to write that this has been residual levels. These are like the small amounts of the spillage of the melted fuel. I mean, that's just like the leftovers that were left behind. You know, the really massive radioactivity is underground.
It's down below.
And the spent fuel pools above, you know, the buildings. So we have yet to see a real breakthrough of significant amounts that are, you know, the kind of radioactivity that everyone feared at the beginning of Fukushima. The stuff that knocks people down, you know, burns your skin and all that, you know, kills you pretty quickly, you know, or horrifying burns and all that.
The melted...
We have to see that, you know?
No, that's right. The melted fuel that Yoshi's talking about under Fukushima, rods or fuel assemblies.
No, it'll be melted. It'll be
it's
just
all
melted
corium, melted. Yeah. They've got plutonium-239, which has a half-life of 24,000 years. We have literally, possibly, already committed an extinction event on ourselves. This could be that bad. Don't play games. It's that bad.
So that raises, I think, what did Trump what was he saying to Abe that was so secretive that he didn't dare have any microphones around?
Or what did Abe say to him?
Well, Abe obviously going to make excuses. You know, Trump is a...
Oh, he's an apologist. Of course he is.
Yeah, Abe is horrible. But
Trump might have confronted him with some realities, because Trump knows by now. He's been briefed.
Yeah. Something was really strange about that summit that doesn't add up, you know? And what's he talking to Justin Trudeau about? You know, they're all supposed to be all about trade, but they don't seem to be talking about trade.
They may be talking about survival, Yoshi. Dana, this may be about extinction and survival.
Exactly.
Look at the geography involved, okay?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Japan,
Abe comes,
origination.
and he's basically slapped on the hand twice, and then Justin Trudeau comes right afterward, right?
Yep. I
So
don't.
we see
This
a
is
pattern
you got to. These are easy dots to connect. Not a big mystery. Hold on a minute. We'll be right back with more. Don't forget, if you don't know by now, don't eat anything from the Pacific Ocean. Nothing. All right? Every time you eat something from the Pacific, you're going to be eating infinitesimally small doses of radiation, and maybe not so small, which all accumulates in your body. It doesn't go away. It accumulates. Understand? It doesn't go away. That's really important to know. Internal radiation, on the other hand, emanates from radioactive elements which enter the body by inhalation, ingestion, or skin absorption. Hazardous radionuclides such as iodine-131 and cesium-137 and other isotopes, and there are probably hundreds of them, different ones, currently being released in the sea and air around Fukushima. And I will add in, all the way across the Pacific, 6,000 miles along the West Coast, biologically concentrate at each step of the various food chains. For example, into crustaceans, small fish, bigger fish than humans, or soil, grass, cow's meat, milk, and then humans. Higher you go, the more concentrated it gets. After they enter the body, these radioactive elements, called internal emitters, migrate to specific organs such as the thyroid, the liver, the bone, and the brain, where they continuously irradiate small volumes of cells with high doses of alpha, beta, and or gamma. And over many years can cause uncontrolled cell replication, that is, cancer. All right? Furthermore, many of these nuclides remain radioactive in the environment for generations or longer, and ultimately will cause increased incidences of cancer and genetic diseases of all kinds. It's really important that you understand that. Small people say, it's just a little, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't go away. It builds up and builds up like chest x-rays. You don't want to get too many x-rays, because the x-rays builds ionizing radiation. Builds up, same thing. They're now admitting, finally, that radiation from Fukushima has been found in salmon off the coast of Oregon, those salmon that are still left. They also said that they were in Canadian salmon, whatever that means, Dana. Canadian salmon. They must have a funny accent, huh?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I don't know what to say to stuff like that. Look, Japan has killed the Pacific, and the Pacific is the biggest.
May have killed the damn planet. We don't know yet.
It looks that way. Insects, birds, mammals, animals, everything seems to be affected. And now we're seeing scientists talk about weird stuff that humanity has 9 years left on the planet. And nobody challenges it. Nobody comes up and freaks out.
There was no rebuttal. None.
Yeah, none. And it's just the studies on the animals are, they're the same as human studies, yet they say they don't exist. And they're still claiming it's like a banana and a potato chip and walking in the sunshine or climbing mountains and stuff. And so 70 years of it, and they won. That's how they won it. And they really done it, And they're not going to give it up. Right till the very end, they're just going to continue to manipulate everybody. This is media, university, the journalists, and your local government, which has been captured. And so we got no one out there that we can turn to. It's why we exist, but it's just so heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking because it didn't have to happen. None of this. And they're arguing over extending the licensing for Indian Point. If Indian Point goes, there goes New York. Bye.
Like you say, if we have a solar event, then we lose all the plants. If we don't get power there for a few hours, they start to melt down. Once that happens, there's no way to turn it off. There's no way to stop it. It's lethal doses. And so they all go. And then we lose, regardless, we lose the planet right away. So this was meant to happen. They had to lie for 70 years to keep it. The whole industry is predicated upon that lie that is harmless and innocuous and benign, like a banana or a potato chip.
Yeah.
Terrorists might get is different. We don't have a nuclear repository, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, whenever there's an event or an accident or any kind of disruption at these places, they immediately come out and try to pacify everybody with these connotations that it's harmless. And that's why we're in this boat, because nobody can hold these people accountable. Universities won't get them to stop it. And you're not allowed to hang them publicly. If we get the laws changed, no one would do it. Even if we could hang these people legally, no one would still do that, see?
You're right.
They're allowed to do whatever they want. I'm really worried at this stage, that's all. I'm just really worried that we're going to see chaos. Like we can't even... That we're actually going to lose, lose everything. Yeah.
No, we've been doing this 6 years now. You're the man who went out and did the research. Yoshi's been on this world class level, higher than science, because he tells the truth. Shame on science, Shame on science. I don't know.
Well, it's non-science. Pronounced nonsense.
Yeah. Good
That's
job.
What it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I wrote about, I know there's been, whale beachings in New Zealand.
650.
This is unprecedented. 250 of them died on shore. And what was it, November, I wrote an article that I found serious levels of radioactivity in the very southern tip of New Zealand. Suggested that the Japanese whaling ships that have been disappearing have been dumping high-level nuclear waste in the Antarctic Sea and the Southern Sea. And then, lo and behold, 2 months later, 6 weeks later, we see these whales beaching. And people say, well, it's happened before. Yeah, they do lose their way. Maybe there's sonar. It could be because they passed through other parts of the Pacific, or where there's been nuclear tests. We don't know for sure because we don't get all the data.
The data's been withheld from us. That's why.
Yeah, and also it is hard to measure. You're dealing with lots of water, right? Water in the ocean, water in their bodies, water passing through their bodies. This is really difficult stuff to detect, but we know this doesn't just happen in nature like this. You just don't see. And, maybe there were massive, beachings long ago in the past when there was an overpopulation of whales, in the 18th century or something. But after the slaughters of the 19th century, the whaling, the great whaling expeditions for whale oil, we didn't see so many beachings. There weren't that many whales left. So, something doesn't fit. It's somehow the measurements I got in South New Zealand. I mean, if this is confirmation, we have a lot to worry about. It's a Japanese whaling fleet of Japanese, vessels. Container ships are dumping radioactivity in other oceans of the world. And they can say, "Oh, the whole world's radioactive. Don't worry." I don't know. I'm not the world's policeman. Certainly, I'm not the world's Coast Guard. But something terrible has happened in New Zealand, and it does confirm with those readings that I found in Invercargill, a place called the Bluff.
I was just looking around, and in the New Delhi paper, can't remember the name of it here. I'm looking at the story. Doesn't say the name of the damn paper. Anyway,
maybe understand that. Yeah. Anyway,
it says we simply can't get over Donald Trump's weird handshake with Japan PM Shinzo Abe, and that eye roll when Trump finally turned him loose. U.S. President Donald Trump. When Trump finally let go of Abe's hands, the 62-year-old Japan Prime Minister rolled his eyes to show his relief right after breaking
his face turned red.
Yeah, right after breaking the uncomfortable eye contact with him. Abe's reaction to Trump's weird behavior was priceless, and the shutterbugs perfectly captured it from many different angles.
Is that something? Way beyond the scientific logic and getting to the heart of the truth here, the heart of the matter. Amazing stuff. I think Trudeau kept his distance from the Donald. Did he? He kept as far as away. Did you watch that thing, Dana?
No, I don't watch it. If you go look up a story, 5 million seabirds estimated to die on beaches of New Zealand. They all starved to death. They were emaciated. The vets did take them and do studies on all kinds of them. This is what they found.
5 million starved to death. We know there's only one cause for that.
Yeah, that was 2013, December 2013.
Were these migrating birds?
A couple of years later. These were migratory, yeah.
Okay. All right. So they got dosed.
They're feeding on fish. They're feeding on fish. Yeah.
They feed on crustaceans. That's right. Just sardines, herring, anchovies, crustaceans.
Yeah.
Like the little shrimp, right? And so, the pilot whales. I grew up with pilot whales all my life on that ocean, on the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, and we never see no strandings. Mass strandings down there, and if you did see strandings, you would see strandings of just about when there was a huge population. Sometimes there would be the conflict, and back in them days, it was not unusual to have 8,000, 5,000 whales a day. We would slow the boat down for these whales. These were small whales. We always recognized them as smart whales, intelligent whales. They didn't get caught in our gear; they get fouled up in it. And because we leave our gear out there for the most part on the ocean, go out and tend to it each day. Now we're talking about an average of 30-foot ground swells on that ocean each day. So it's a whole different world. Trust me.
Wow.
And we would leave the wharf at 3:30 in the morning and head out in the dark in these old boats, with a little 20 Acadian diesel putt-putts. And it's just amazing when you think back on it. There's no GPSs back then. There was no sounders or radios or something like that for commercial fishermen. But I've never seen that. So the stuff I'm seeing up there, the way it's happening, all the other die-offs now, they're starting to look immediately for emaciation and starving, but they didn't bother mentioning. What they said was, in all the stories that came out about the whales, was that they would only get sick and go up on the beaches, and the other ones will go up on the beaches with them because they're calling them, right? But it doesn't work that way. Some will accidentally end up on the beach, but not all of them. They won't all just rush up the beach themselves. Right. If they can call each other, they can also warn each other, right?
That's right. Yeah, that they're in trouble. Yes, absolutely. Hey, Dana, I wish you would write a story about this. You have tremendous experience with whales that none of us, the rest of us have. You know?
Yeah, I swam on.
I would love to see. Huh? You swam what?
I swam and worked in whale graveyards where there's thousands of skeletons.
You're kidding.
No, I picked green urchins and shipped them to Japan years ago.
Oh, my God. I wish you would write a major story or even a book about this. This is like
yeah, no kidding. I should. No, I thought about doing it years ago, and I should have, but I didn't.
Please do. I mean, this they can't put you in jail for this. Come on. This is great stuff.
No, some fascinating stories from those days. Absolutely. That's a good point. I'll have to think about that. That's a good point.
Please do. Because I follow whales, Discovery Channel, Sea Shepherd, the whole thing. But this is an incredible tale.
I can go for like days and days and days and days and days straight. But when I was working with the commercial dive fleets, of course, you had all these accumulated hours amongst all of us. And so when someone broached a subject, you have all these other experts with just thousands and thousands of hours underwater. So if you didn't do it yourself, you heard of, if it was going on out, there's a good chance you heard about it. Well, I've never heard of anybody getting injured by a sea lion or another creature in the water per se amongst all the divers. Just one incident, shark, when they were grabbing scallops and he had busted it open, the shark come after the scallop and he had it in a bag, and his bag got stuck in a mesh, and the shark took off with the bag, but never physically hurt him, just dragged him down deep accidentally. Yeah. So, but you couldn't control your fear of that. I've dumped my weight belts probably 300 times because of, and I'm not kidding, because of sea lions. I couldn't control my fear of sea lions. I've encountered them, done that much. I've spent 14,000 hours underwater and ran the biggest fleets on both oceans. For many years. I've worked with Navy SEALs from both American and Canadian as crew members for me many times. And so I have a very unique perspective for sure. And plus I worked the upper ocean myself and had 30,000 hooks before I started going underwater and 120 gillnets. So I was very seasoned. The license I had, herring licenses, all the licenses, but they put a moratorium on the fishery 20 odd years ago. Yeah. And so we still have the licenses, but there's still a moratorium, and that will never change. But anyway,
I think you really you must write this thing as a tribute for a species that is approaching extinction and get people to wake up to what's going on, the abundance of the whales, the kind of, like you say, they don't harm people. There's this enormous intelligence they have and ability to communicate, and now they're just dying in, whole swarm, pods of them are being wiped out. The stuff in Hawaii, there's dead whales all around the Hawaiian Islands of late. So
right, and they say that happens. They were saying that happens regularly in New Zealand, but if you look at the headlines, the regular to them was actually 2015, 2014, 2013, 2012, and there was another headline. Right, that was all since.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. You're right. I say, it's frequent there. Yeah, but you're right. It correlates. And I didn't know New Zealand was hit until I talked to that one radiation expert, radioactivity expert, who's at Otago University in Dunedin. He had long communications with me and said New Zealand was hit massively by Fukushima. There were the waves of radiation that came down to Australia. And also Hawaii he was the one who said Hawaii was massively hit. So yeah, absolutely, you are right. The thing, at the time I figured it had nothing to do with Fukushima. I just could not imagine the radioactivity getting there so fast in such, dramatic ways.
Sure, yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. I looked at the following.
Exactly.
Norwegian Institute for Air Research, the Swiss, the Austrians, all the meteorological agencies have produced a modeling just based up on a couple of days' releases from a single reactor showed at the end of their model showed a large disposition for Australia and New Zealand. But we had big reports of people actually on the ground with the Geiger counters showing elevated numbers. But then we seen within a couple of years these mass die-offs and the animals had starved to death. So very distinct patterns that we're seeing showing up. And people are starting to check that automatically now to see if they starve to death by reflex. But yet they won't talk about Japan or Fukushima or stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about the 2020 Olympics, huh?
Yeah.
No chance.
That's going to be fun.
No chance.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like all the volunteers, they're probably going to have 100,000 volunteers there, Yoshi.
Oh,
yeah,
easy. I have all those little high school girls will be all over the place, and
This is going to be a kill off of the next human generation. You know, the best athletes of the world, young people, all below 30 years of age, right?
Yep.
Prime reproductive age, are going to be just devastated there. It's just sad to see this, the blindness. The Olympic Committee so eager to hold the games there in Tokyo, and I don't know why. You know, why can't we move them? I said we can move them to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It would be safer there, you know, of all places, right?
Well, just remember,
forget about the country. You know?
Fukushima already has emitted the amount of nuclear radiation from hundreds of Hiroshima bombs.
Yeah.
Hundreds. And it's just not stopping. It's not stopping. It's getting worse. That's the part. There's no technology that exists on this planet in human hands that can rectify this situation. Nothing. This is so much worse than Chernobyl. It's not even on the chart. And let me remind you, there's only one thing that we know about that can actually mitigate the exposure to some of these radionuclides, and that's the bio-superfood developed by the Russian doctor. He's a genius, Dr. Michael Kiriak. It's right there at the second banner at Rense, bio-superfood. Please go and read that, and I would urge you to get on it as soon as you can. I've been doing it almost 6 full years now, and I'm fine. I'm fine, knock on wood. But that product is extraordinary. And thanks for the kind word on that, Yoshi, because it is what they say it is, and not many products are anymore.
Yeah, it works. There's no doubt about it. It works. That goes without saying, you know, and it's safely made and all that. So, Dana, how do you spend your days in these winter months?
Me, I'm like I'm this guy who's completely out of control. I wake up every day like a little child at Christmas, and I just it goes nonstop till I pass out. It's like that every day of my life. It's the strangest world. It's really truly like it's like some kind of a cartoon, fictional Disneyland production world. That's funny. I'm just like happy. I'm cutting, slicing, editing all night till I went live here, and I'll go right back to that after playing around with graphics. Just trying to get kinks out, like it's pretending life is normal, basically.
Right. Well, yay.
As normal as it can be. You know, just as you know, we're just totally normal, considering it's the end of the world. You know, so we can't get more normal for the end.
No. Okay, gentlemen. Thank you. Thanks, Dana.
Good night, everyone. Take care, folks.
Okay. Good luck to you, Dan. Yeah. Hang in there.
All right, you stay out of trouble, and God, we are all in trouble. We just don't know it.
Yeah, well, we persist. We're going to march through the 6th anniversary. We're going to continue to struggle. People tell me to give it up, but we're not giving up.
No chance. No way. No way.
There's no. We fight to the death. Yeah, it won't end until we're dead, and it still won't end. Mm-hmm. All right, very good.
Thanks, Yosh. Okay.
Thank you.
See you next week. All right. That's 3 hours of radio for you. Hope you learned from it. I learned a little something each time. And we will be back tomorrow night and invite you to share it again with us. Talk to you then.